a speech entitled The Atom in Our Hands, Florian Bay.
Mr. Toastmaster, ladies and gentlemen, fellow members and most welcome guests, tonight I would like to talk to you about nothing less than the power of the infinitesimal, about the power and, more importantly, the unfulfilled potential of the atom, a power that all of us in this room should respect and definitely not fear. Everything and anything on Earth, including ourselves, ladies and gentlemen, is made up of only three basic bricks: the proton, the neutron, and the electron. Proton and neutron coalesce together into a nucleus, which we can think of essentially as one big lump of jelly beans, red and green, for example. This nucleus becomes bigger and bigger as elements become bigger and bigger, but there comes a point where it's just too big and it has to just go down in size, become more stable. There's two ways this can happen. Number one is slow and steady, it's radioactive decay. Number two is far more dramatic, it's nuclear fission. For nuclear fission to happen only requires a neutron to hit a nucleus, which will then split into two halves and release more neutrons, as well as large amounts of energy. I'm sure you're all very familiar with Einstein's equation of E equals mc squared, but are you familiar with its exact meaning? It means that mass is simply energy, and vice versa. When you split an atom, the resulting products weigh less than the initial, that one we started off with, and this difference is where our energy comes from. I can hear you say, well, it's infinitely small. We cannot see atoms. They're micrometers long. So surely it's not that much power. But in 1 gram of uranium, you've got more atoms than you have liters of waters on the 7 seas of the globe. This is a pellet of nuclear fuel used in nuclear reactors all over the globe. I can all read in your minds now, you're shivering with fear and saying, oh my God, we're just about to grow a second head tonight and a parasitic twin is going to sprout out. So rest assured that this pellet is a fake, merely reproducing the exact weight and dimension of a real one. There are 7 grams of uranium lying between my fingers, 4% of which are uranium-235, which is a fissile element. How much power does this 0.3 grams of fissile uranium represent? Guesses, anyone? A lot. Right between my fingers, there is a ton of coal, or 600 liters of gasoline, enough to fuel a car for a year at least, really. Or more prosaically, in a more usable form, this small pellet represents 7 megawatt hours of electricity, enough to meet all of your electricity needs for 1 year, or maybe even 2 years, if you're quite careful. If you're quite careful, like I am. So I'll hand this over to you. Pass it around. Now just imagine thousands of these pellets stacked atop each other to form pencil that will ignite a flameless nuclear fire. Pencil snugly laid out in a cauldron that is working under the pressure of dozens of atmospheres, and whose environment is like Venus' gaseous air or carbon dioxide, or maybe the depth of the sea at 2,000 meters down below, only with about 300 degrees of heat added in. As I'm speaking, there are nuclear reactors operating on these shores, operating at temperatures high enough to melt lead or aluminum, should they be dropped inside them. To give you an idea of the power of nuclear fire, we need to look at this bottle of water, a 1 liter bottle of water. Think that it's representing a slice of a nuclear reactor that is 1 liter big. How much power lies in this bottle? Any guesses? between 3 and 100 kilowatt hours of power. If we look at the electric heaters at the back of the room that glows red hot when they're operating in the winter, they're about 1 kilowatt they represent about 1 kilowatt of power. Just imagine between 3 and 100 of these glowing red hot heaters lying inside this very small bottle. That's a lot of power, isn't it? And yet, there is a lot more to the atom that meets the eye. Something that is almost undistinguishable from magic. In this small pellet that Graham is now observing, 96% of it is uranium-238, which is not fissile, but fertile. If you heat uranium-238 with a neutron traveling at 1/10 of the speed of light, which is fast enough to go around the Earth in a single second, you will transform this uranium into plutonium, which is a fissile element and a nuclear fuel. And thereby, all the 7 grams of uranium lying in my fingers will be burnable. This small pellet is now 15,000 liters of gasoline, or maybe 25 tons of coal if you're so inclined. They wouldn't fit under these arches. But now I can all hear you say, uranium is a finite resource, just like coal or oil. To which I will answer, just as life once came from the seas, so can all future energy needs come from them. For within the 7 seas of the globe, there is enough uranium to manufacture how many of these pellets?
Millions.
600 trillions of these pellets lying in the sea. For there lies the answer to mankind's greatest battle and struggle, the battle of meeting ever-growing energy needs to meet the needs of an ever-growing population in the seas that define all blue marble from space, in the seas that we simply need to burn with the power of the atoms in our hand. About a century ago, an alliance of inventors and engineers unleashed a revolution that would transcend the limitation of biologies. May during this century see another alliance of engineers, scientists, inventors, and the bankers that will pay for them unleash a similar revolution to unleash the unbound promises of the atom in our hands and transcend geology and turn energy scarcity into a distant memory. Mr. Toastmaster.